Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another version 15 design review. This one is about time and event series. Um, Even though I initially thought it was about something quite different, but here we go. All right, so where do we want to start?
The top. So there are some updates to Tabular, and then we go and drill into time and event series.
Okay. I'm not seeing the data not saved tab here.
Evaluate this input.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
So this.
I thought in other kinds of structures it says data not saved in notebook, doesn't it?
No, I think this is standard. What
Okay.
is not standard is what happens once you have saved it and reopen again, which is what you were asking about before.
What did that do? I pressed the arrow and it did nothing.
Well, it saved it in the notebook.
Let me see. Is there no indication of that?
That it has been saved? No. So I think the idea is that if you reopen the notebook, then if it's there, it will not say anything. If it's not there, it will say the data hasn't been saved.
Well, yeah, but what we do in other places is we just put one of those tabs at the bottom saying data not saved.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's what the plan
But
is here.
yeah.
This seems good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Seems lovely. Okay.
So this is something we wanted
Yes, this
to
is a good
have.
idea.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
distinction.
Yep. Good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
We talked
So
about these before.
we have seen, yes. The discussion was about the typesetting. So you suggested that we align on the implicit decimal point. So that's the first column in this first one, rather than on the plus minus, which is the second column. So we wanted to see what you think about it.
I prefer the first one. I think it's more representative of the data. I mean, I don't know how often it will be the case that there's such. I mean, there will be in like astronomy, for example. There'll be,
Exactly.
tables that have wildly different values.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think the first one. I don't know what happens when you go to scientific notation, though. See what I'm saying?
Yes. So our plan here would be to keep the plus minus and then perhaps having scientific notation separately. But
Okay.
um,
But how do we normally do a rounds with scientific notation?
well, there are two cases. If the error is much smaller than the value, then we have this parenthesis notation at the end. If the value is very large, then we separate, like here. But if you have like one and then the error is super tiny, then we use the parenthesis notation. That
Yeah.
oh yeah, you
I
you
guess
see it
the
here both.
question is, it's beautiful, by the way, but the question is, are we aligning on decimal points even in scientific notation?
Yes.
Okay. And then, I mean, I think, what do other people disagree with me that the first thing makes more sense to align on implicit decimal points? Does anybody disagree with that
Um,
idea?
I personally, I still kind of prefer a little bit more the second one. I think I find it easier to read.
Well, then
Now,
let's do the second one if you want to. I
the
mean, I don't
the
have strong feelings. Go ahead.
What is the
yes,
second one aligning on?
Plus
on the plus
minus.
minus.
Plus or minus. I
But what
find that
about if there
easier to
isn't a
read as
plus
well.
minus? What about if there isn't a plus minus? Oh, because it has to be a uniform column.
Exactly, it's a uniform
Yeah.
column of rounds.
So does it, if
I think
there's
they're
something
both
which is
pretty hard to
exact,
read.
yeah,
We have been discussing the possibility of creating something more complicated that aligns in both the decimal point and the plus minus. But then there will be white space between them.
No. But I would like to comment that if you have something that's exact that's in the around column, why aren't you just putting, plus minus 0 or something like that implicitly? See what I'm saying? To make an exact, I don't even know what it does. If I say around,
So right now, if the error is exactly 0, it converts back to the number. So it has been suggested that we don't do that. And we are exploring the possibility of not doing that, even though it might create problems like what's a round of square root of 2 comma 0? Do we keep
No,
the square root of 2?
I don't think that it's a good idea to not have this auto evaluation. But I think what could be good is if to promote the type, as we surely do, if you have a tabular that has a bunch of, real numbers and one integer, surely we convert the integer, right? We don't get
No,
an error message.
no, we consider it a like real expression or number expression.
Oh, yeah, it depends whether you ask for them to be reals or not.
So if you do
Okay, so
column types of that.
So they are not numbers.
why did this have such a big space there?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing actually. I'll look into that.
Yeah.
I see. So it's not uniform there.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be
So
nice if there was some indication of that. I thought we were having a little expression jingle up here. What happened to that?
For inert expression.
What's that?
For inert expression, we do have that. If you have a column of X and Y.
Yeah. It's
But
a
not
little
for
weird here because, this could lead to lots of inefficiency.
Yes, it could.
Mm-hmm.
Just having one integer there seems very weird. I assume in two tabular that there's a way of doing type promotion.
We have cast columns too.
Yes. I just wonder if there shouldn't be a little tabby thing at the bottom here that indicates that asks you, do you want to do you want to standardize the columns? That seems like it will be a good piece of UX to me. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but it's hard to design.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Right.
Okay. So what I'm suggesting is if there is a column that has been promoted to an expression and the heuristic says that the things that are in there are things that are readily promotable, like integer to real, that it offers, something here, a little tab that says columns not normalized, normalized now.
I would almost prefer to like right click in the header of the column and then like pick a specific type from there or
That would
something.
be fine, but we just got to have an indicator that there's a thing to do.
Or also just giving it the expression badge like inert expression and then just strings in anything that's some kind of expression type.
Yeah, we could. I don't know whether we think that this is likely to be user error. I think it is. I think in this particular case here, was a single integer, which didn't happen to have a decimal point, and it promoted the whole thing. That's crazy.
Or it was just in their data and giving them some indication that they want to fix it. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, so that's a UX thing. Let's think about that. Okay. And then, what the function being run is cast column, right?
Yeah. I guess we would have to create a new copy of the tabular.
I don't know. That's a different issue.
Yeah, but that's only changes that one column. So that's
Okay. Anyway, you guys can figure that out. But on this particular point, I don't have very strong feelings about this. If you guys prefer this alignment, use it. Fair?
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
These are just examples using the alignment, the previous alignment on plus minus.
I think it's reasonable. I don't have strong feelings.
Yeah, it works with quantities. Yeah. So you have seen these two. Its geoposition has been updated
Yep.
to support projections.
How does that look?
It's the final one. So it shows the two columns of the x and y coordinates, then the so-called easting and northing.
So that's
Yeah,
a grid position. That's a geogrid position.
that's a geogrid position, exactly. So the parentheses below log should say the projection. We will work on that. If you hover over it, you see the projection Albers at the end. The parentheses there should
It's
say too.
obscurely written, but yeah, I understand. That's the official type underneath.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. And then you have seen these two. There's some
Okay.
major improvements.
Do I look at these or not?
Yes. So, I mean, data sources, I think there's a separate review for this.
Yeah, this
Okay.
one's a separate review.
Okay. So what am I looking at here? Should I look at this
Transformations. Transformations. So here we have two functions that you have also looked at. Tabular summary is equivalent or similar to tabular structure, only offering more content-related information.
Yeah, with these sparkline thingies. They're cool.
And then I think we still have an open question regarding the next function, augment columns, which if it's only related to entities, it might need a different name, perhaps.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. These things here, min, max, min, median, max, they're function names.
Yes.
Right? Non-missing count, is that a function name?
No. Well, I mean, these are strings. These are string properties, just that we group them under the extended key statistics.
So how would I get the non-missing count?
You can just say, I mean, the second argument allows you to specify columns and properties. Yeah, you can rerun that.
Yeah, I understand. But what if I just wanted the max of column 3 here? How would I get it?
Then you would just say, no, tabular summary.
No. Without using tabular
Oh,
summary.
I see. So that would be.
I mean, I know how to do it. I can say something like, if
all,
I say
all comma something.
Well, if I say this, I think I will get
No, all comma that. And I do max.
Okay, fine. But the point that I'm making is what you're putting at the heading of the columns, max, there should be essentially a click to copy here that allows you to actually compute that. I don't like these things where we've sort of given people something that might be what they want, it might not, but we can't, break the pieces apart and use them separately.
Well, this is a tabular from which then we can extract the properties.
Yeah.
We can say state, and then it will give all the
I
properties
don't
of
really
it.
like it because I mean, if I want this histogram, but I want a log histogram, for example, how do I do that?
You have to build your own.
I
Right, so-
understand,
I
but
think
I'm
the
asking
point of
how
this
do you
is
build
that
it?
this is a summary to give you some indication of what things you're going to want to ask for right away.
Right.
And it's not necessarily that you're going to get them from the summary, but it gives you an idea.
And also, the min and max gives you the indication of the range of your data. So if there is some mistake, then you will get weird outliers. So it gives you the idea.
I understand. The thing I'm objecting to is that you're making, I don't know, somehow it would be nice if tabular summary or tabular structure just was some very simple piece of code that made this particular one, you could make other ones. Whereas here, each of these is a non-trivial, count of except missing and except underscore missing and things like this, right?
Yeah, so this is a bunch of pre-computed things or prepared properties that are informative.
They're also like maybe a part of the schema, right?
Everything in tabular structure is very fast. In tabular summary, we allow ourselves to take some time to compute things.
Yeah. I mean, this looks very useful. I'm just concerned that it's not as well factored as it could be. Hmm. Hmm.
So perhaps you want the possibility of the user being able to provide additional properties in the
Don't
second
know.
argument?
I mean, it just feels like this is a blimp. Here's what you have. Want
Mhm.
something different? You're out of luck.
Right.
I mean, there is a menu, but it's not deep in the
Where's the
sense
menu?
of
Where is the menu?
if you go
mean-
to that function ref page.
No,
I think the
at the
idea
end, there
is-
is all. At the very last input has the all properties. So you can see there. And we can add more if needed. But there you see a variety of properties we can compute.
These ones here, non-missing.
No, the next one. That's all columns go to all property. Here it's all columns go to all properties. If you scroll, you see more things that can be computed. If users report that they want something else, we can add it to
Yeah.
that list.
I mean, I sort of understand your objection, Stephen, but this is also more just a way for an easy way for people to look at a tabular and get some sort of idea of what's
Yeah.
in there.
I mean,
If
it's
you look
clearly
at a lot of
useful.
data sources on the websites, they'll have something a little bit like this that shows you what the different columns are and what they
Right. So
contain.
run this on the data repository. See what it does. Let's try it. Here we go. How do I get? Is there a way to get a random data source? What would you like? Human activities. What about that? Okay, now I can
So
presumably say tabular.
if you do tabular of that,
Okay. Now I do. Why is this not? Oh dear. Somebody needs to do some debugging.
okay. So there's some dates
Yeah.
that failed. And look into that. So the category plots already shows whether there are multiple possibilities or just a few.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is clearly a good way to test this.
Yeah. No, that's a really good idea.
I don't quite know what happened to this tabular and why I can't scroll across it. Help! Has that got just too little space at the end, or is there something missing there?
I think it's one of these cases in which you need to double click in one of the separators or something like that at the top. So perhaps
Is
this
there
may-
anything that you're actually missing, or is that just the
Yeah.
width
I don't
of
know.
URL?
I think there wasn't. I think what was wrong was that there should have been just a bit more space there. That's the
Yeah.
access to. Yep. Then I would have been convinced there wasn't anything there.
Okay.
Not bad. All right. I mean, I guess this is what it is.
But if at some point another property needs to be added, it will be very simple to add another property.
I understand. What bothers me is that I'm seeing something here and I'm thinking category key, category plot. Great, let me run category plot.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake
Yeah.
to have that heading that looks like it's a function name.
Yeah, so maybe we should just lowercase it.
Well, it could be lowercase, or it could just have spaces,
Yeah, but
category
not all of
space
them can be
plot.
spaced.
But those functions, min, median, and max, are
I know, but
things you can
heads
run as
is not a
functions.
function. Heads is not a function.
No.
Head is a function, but heads is not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So unless we lowercase everything, it's not going to work. I recommend lowercasing it. I think that's right. Because that's what's really bothering me here. Now, the only question is, if you are trying to specify that as a key, it's going to get messy because these keys you want to be look like this. I don't think people are going to do this very much. And I think it is reasonable to have keys like this. This is what we have all over the place. Now, it's not, I don't love it, but in the case of properties of an entity,
Mhm.
if I say, tungsten properties, I don't love this. It's caused a lot of trouble as far as I'm concerned. Liquid density. Okay, that's called liquid density. Okay, well, some of these are the same or effectively the same, but some are not. What is that one? Well, that's interesting. There's no, that is just weird. There's no mouse over for that one. Bug, 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 bug.
Mhm.
See that?
Yep.
Mhm.
Maybe the final formula that is spoiling
Yeah,
it.
I understand. Yeah, you see, how would I know that this is vaporization heat? And that's where you get into trouble when the name here isn't the same as the name as the canonical name. But I think it is less crazy to have these things. We just don't want to lead people and AIs into thinking that there are things that don't exist.
Mhm.
Yeah.
By the way, I have a suggestion on the live stream from Abby about I think what we were discussing previously about canonicalization, just suggesting that one could just click in the column to get some kind of menu of possible things to do. And I agree, and that's kind of where we're going. If we just indicate somehow that what this column's type is. I mean, I even would argue that UX-wise, having something which is like a little red thing there, if we detect that, it's one integer among a field of reals type thing. Do you understand what I mean?
Mhm.
Yep.
Right, just some heuristic.
Mhm. We've also kicked around the idea of using scroll bar decorations to mark along the within the tabular where a possible issue or missing item could be.
That's a reasonable thing, but I think we need something that you can see without scrolling, so to speak. I think it will be very obscure if we have something actually in the scroll bar initially. Okay, what's next here? Tabular summary is nice, by the way. But okay, everybody agree that these should be lowercase, etc., but that we'll leave the camel cased string names. Agreed.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the mouse over can obviously show the camel version.
Mhm.
There's a camel behind the mouse, no doubt. Who knows?
Okay. So these ones you have to reevaluate to see the right. So the key or the main question here is the name of the function.
We discussed that at some length before, hadn't we?
I
In the
think so.
preview. We brought it up in the preview.
Yep.
And it's for entities only. So maybe you want that in the name.
Yeah. But I don't understand what this means. Augment columns. What does it mean? Entity.
It means look up a property and add another column. It means use the fact that those are entities which can look up more data.
Yes. Okay. Well, I mean, I do think entity augment columns is more palatable than just augment columns. I mean, really, this is an entity value play.
Right.
What is the version of this that is in transform columns? Couldn't I do this with transform columns?
Yes, you can. This is to provide a simple way to do it.
Okay, so if I was doing it with transform columns, what I would be saying
I think this is both fast and easy.
Okay. That's the fast is, well, whatever. Okay, transform columns, and then I say,
Population goes to entity value.
why am I doing that? I'm just saying hash entity subpopulation.
Okay. Yep.
That was a little slow. Okay, but I'm confused here because there's two things here. This is not a column name. This is an entity property.
Right. And if you scroll down, you'll see that there is a notation to specify. So here in the rule, you see the population lowercase is the column name, and on
Yeah.
the right, the property. I think the key point here is to offer something that doesn't have hashes, and so it's a bit easier to use for some people.
Yeah. Okay. We don't have it. We have add columns, right? Column. What do we have?
It's insert columns.
Okay.
I mean, in some sense, it would be nice to have a general function, and I think this is not the time to do it, but that would sort of, you could give it a function and it could act, you could tell it to act on several columns. I mean, the function that takes one column, okay, and you could tell it to map several columns with that, but I'm not sure what the design of that should be yet, and this is a little bit similar to that.
I'm not sure. I mean, we were trying to, I think that the thought behind this was to expose the value hidden in entities. To
Yeah,
make it
right.
very general, I don't think we're succeeding.
No,
Then
no.
can we just go back to transform columns type thing? And you can always do it.
Yeah. Right. So entity augment columns is my current suggestion.
I think that's a fine name.
Mhm.
I think it's a perfectly good name. And it gives you
Okay.
some hint of what the heck it is.
Yes. All right. Let's do it. Okay, what's in here?
That's
Separate review.
yeah, separate view for both of
And
those.
modeling also separate review?
Yeah.
Okay, time series.
Okay.
And
So
I've seen some of this, haven't I?
yeah, preview you saw this. Okay, so this is more like a things have matured a little bit or a lot. So time series, there is an implicit value. We'll probably redo that illustration a little bit because you kind of think of things going horizontal instead of vertical. Then
That's nice.
I don't think that that's fully
You
done
can't
yet.
do that. You can't do that. You know you
No,
can't do that.
obviously not.
No, this
Okay.
is exactly what we need to discuss. Yes.
Not now.
Yeah, but yeah, there's still things to
No,
yes.
I haven't even seen this, so no.
Okay. So what should we look at here?
No. So if you open the other subsections down there, so that is kind of the base object. Okay. So then can you open the subsection in the design review notebook? The one on the left.
Yeah.
There you go. That notebook. One thing that we do like this, okay? Where
So this is something we added this morning. We wanted to show that time series is now very closely connected to Tabular.
But where is the click to view
Okay,
the
can you evaluate that again, Stephen? This yeah, click there.
oh there. Okay. That's I suppose. If you click on that view,
Oh, the button that says view.
yeah.
Yeah, there is a transparency issue there we know about, but this shows a tabular with the information that is inside the time series.
Well, just remember that some time series do not have multi-column data, and this
Right.
has to look reasonable for that case as well.
Yep.
Yep.
That's a
Yes.
big part of what we need to have some input on.
Okay, fine. Okay. What's this thing here?
That's nothing. I think that's not adapted to the data, obviously.
Okay.
Well, that's a kind of illustration that we used to have.
Yeah, but we're not going to have, we can't have that. If we're going to have a pure illustration, it should be just gray level.
Okay.
Not, or something much, I mean, that looks like it's the data, so don't put it there. If we can have some.
Yes, it used to be, we used to have data, you know, in the legacy. So, but we can switch to the,
I like the data being there. Could we not have the data? I mean, if you have only one, look, okay, listen, if you have, you know, 70 columns, you can't put the data there. If you have
No,
one column, you can put the data. And what we had in the legacy version was very nice.
well, we only put up to 3. So in this situation, I put only up to 2. So we can
fine.
decide to only put 1 in.
No,
in
no,
the
no.
situation
You
where
can
this
have
is
up to
1.
3. That's fine, but it's got to be real data. If you know, I think
it cannot also be completely real data if it's very long, because then it's not informative and it's too large.
I
You know,
know.
takes a lot.
So use some heuristics, downsample.
Yes,
If it's,
so that's what I want to say, that this is downsampled to give some idea of a shape.
but is this in
Yes.
fact data or is this not data? Is this just
It
No,
is.
decoration?
It
no.
is no. This is data because you have reals. You see the type that there are
But
some
there's 4.
reals.
There are only 2 curves.
Yes,
Cannot be
because
real.
well,
it's showing the first 2 curves, the
the
first 2
first
components.
the first
Okay,
2
this isn't
components
just a
only.
decoration. This is an actual visualization of the data, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I think the colors have some questions. I think that if you run out of, you know, if in fact there are many more curves, I would do some kind of vertical dot or something to indicate that those aren't all the curves. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, and the question is that if we want to kind of show them, we would need to standardize them in some way. In the situation when they have, you know, where the values between the components are very unmatched. So that's something also to think about.
Well, just do whatever you would do if, okay, if you have multiple curves and they're unmatched.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, hold on. There's one possibility is show only one curve with dots if there are multiple curves.
Mm-hmm.
That's one possibility. Do we have anybody from design here, by the way? If we're going to be talking about this, let's try and get Jeremy and or Tim.
Okay.
Is this going to be mostly about these visual design things?
No.
No.
Oh no, that's a tiny part of it.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, then let's pin this particular issue. If we can't get those guys here, let's pin this issue and talk with design folk about this. But my initial take would be, if you have multiple curves, you know, why not do the following? If the curves seem to be on the same scale, put up to 3 of them together. If they're not on the same scale, just put 1. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And if there's more than curves than, than you're showing, put an embossed ... on top of that image. Am I making sense?
Mhm.
I think that will do just fine. Now, in terms of this, I'm not a big fan of seeing type information by default. That's very inside the goat type stuff. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and
It is more important now. Old time series, it wasn't important.
I understand, but I don't think it should be shown by default. I think it should just show what the columns are. And if you want to see that, there should be some either visual indication, just like there is, we could do that with the same visual indication that we have of the columns, the double quotes and things like this, right?
We don't have we abandoned we had a systematic, but we
I know
abandoned.
we don't need this. We don't need to know that that's
Okay.
a real 64. We just don't need to know it unless you're going in and efficiency hacking in the compiler. It's irrelevant.
Well, it's not totally irrelevant, Stephen. So suppose you have a time series with some strings and some reals, and we have all these weird overloaded functions, which again, I don't think that's the way to do it in the modern world. But if you take sign of that,
So what? So some things won't work. So what?
okay, fine.
Then you find out it doesn't work. You don't want to expose people to we are compiling into a low-level, machine code. Not the right thing.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, you can have some tab that opens, it gives more detail, just like in a neural net. You can go and you can dive down, you can see a lot of hair underneath.
so
I
the
don't know what
question.
component means. What does component mean?
So that's the name because they're not columns. It's like if you think of a time series, you don't really think of columns. So we call them components.
All right, but I don't know. I mean,
So
okay, first point, if there's only one component, don't even mention that.
we don't.
Okay, fine. Down here, this is way too complicated, right? What should happen is you should just, and this, numbering that separately, I mean, just list, you could do a two-dimensional list. Name, just like we do in dataset. When you get, if I say that kind of thing, see what I'm saying? If you listed your components that way, everybody will be able to see what they are. You're not doing some crazy scrolling thing, which nobody wants anyway. And, you just get.
What's the limit, you think? How many rows? Because if somebody gives you 1,000 components, then it can blow very fast. So we should probably have some limit here.
6 rows, 7 rows, something like that. And then ... after that. And then at the end, if you're not showing all of them, say something like 115 total.
Okay.
At the end. Show the beginning and then show, that elision. Rather than showing at the top, number of components. It is a data structure of this shape. Nobody cares. The length is more interesting. That seems useful. I think that the time duration is also useful. If you're going to give something there.
It's there. I mean,
no, the duration.
Duration.
17 days.
Okay.
Because I can't immediately tell that from this. I mean, I have to really think about it. In this particular case, it's rather easy, but
so in the place where components are, we would put duration.
That's what I think. I think that would really be quite useful. 7 hours, 52 hours, whatever. Okay.
In that list, could they have like a tooltip that gives some kind of info about the type?
Absolutely. Not a problem.
I was going to say, if we're going to have a button for the view that, I mean, we could have a button that does, the tabular structure type thing.
Why is the view a button? Because you don't want to pre-compute it, or what? Or is
You
it
don't necessarily
pre-computed?
want I mean, if you're using these, you want a small, nice little box like that. But if the view wasn't a thing, it could be a big tabular that shows up and covers most of your screen.
Okay. Sorry, so I got distracted by something. Could you
Hello.
say this again? Yep. Oh, Jeremy just joined. Well,
Yep.
I think we're going to come back to you and ask for some design help here. I think we're probably not right now.
Okay.
Anybody want to raise anything else design-wise, graphic design-wise?
This is it,
Okay.
the ones you've seen in this.
Well, stick around for just 1 minute, Jeremy, while we talk about this view here.
Okay.
Rob, what were you just saying?
I was saying if you're actually computing with these, you probably just want a simple box and not something that's going to be huge. And the view is an easy way to see the tabular representation, because that gives you a huge, if it weren't for the transparency, that would give you lots of information about what's actually in there,
I agree, but are you
including the
pre-computing
components.
this? Okay, hold on. Are you
No.
pre-computing this or not?
No,
No. Well, see, the thing is that the tabular is basically essentially a part of the time series object. So they're just
Okay.
slightly different views
Okay.
of the same
Can I make a
data.
suggestion?
Mhm.
I think you should have a button that says preview. There's no tabular : view, just like there's no real 64. It's just preview.
That's a good idea. Yep.
And maybe some little icon with that indicates, previewing.
Mhm.
And then what we've got here is the components indicated, in some kind of structure like this. If we've got 3 unnamed components, like it's a list at every point, what do we do?
That means that we don't have really components because they need to be named.
I understand, but indicating that there are 3 elements of the list would be useful somehow.
Well, those show up as in the tabular, they show up as a tabular column with list elements.
I see. Okay, fine. Okay,
So
well
looking at the tabular gives you everything you need to know about that.
Okay, fine. So then what it is, that's just a preview button. I kind of don't like the term length because it's so similar to duration. Why not call it elements or something?
No, a good reason to call it length, Stephen. This is part of what's new is now just like you can do length of tabular, you can do length of time series, and that relates exactly. Now you can do part of time series using indexes, and that all is related to the length.
All right. Okay, fine. All right.
So it's a structural thing.
All right. So then it's length, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a button down here that says preview. And if we have a way of showing the components, as you're calling them, which we'll never have to name here, we show that sort of array of named, components here as a stripe, and then we say preview underneath, or maybe preview on top.
Okay.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't think we need Jeremy then.
Okay, sounds good.
On what I just said.
No, makes sense to me.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
See you later. Bye. All right. Oh, for goodness sake. We're not going to have this function, are we?
No, this is a prototype, so we have easy access to the
Okay,
files.
that's fine. But that
So
will be
for
part of the
testing.
new example data with the example data repository, right?
Yes,
if it ships in time.
yeah, and if not, then
Well,
maybe
let's
data
push to make sure.
repository.
I hope
Mhm.
people know that dependency. Let's really push for that. Okay.
I mean,
Can-
otherwise
can-
it will go in the data repository.
Right.
That's fine. But can we communicate with Bob and see what's happening, what the time scale is? Who's project managing here?
Carla?
Project. Okay. So Carla, can you please communicate with Bob and figure out whether that's on the right time frame? Hello, Carla. Hello, Carla.
Okay, we'll tell her. Don't worry.
Okay. All right.
So these are sections about functionality related to time series, time and event series. So these are new functions for
Can I
time
see a
and event
guide
series.
page of this? Is there an easy?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's called time series processing new, I think, or yeah.
Well, actually, I can look at these. Okay, so time series events has a way of taking a event determiner like zero crossing or something.
Yes.
There
And-
is, yeah, example lower too, yeah.
Okay, I'll look at that in a second. Event series accumulate. I don't particularly like that name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but it's accumulating the
It's
the
basically
events.
it either sort of just accumulate counts of events
Mhm.
or some variable if you have some component.
I get it. I mean, or it could go hold until, you know, when a new event comes in, you just set to that event and be constant until the next event and so on. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So what comes out is a time series. There is a value for each point in time, which is what you say. It's
Yeah,
holding until the next event.
Okay. All right. Time series structure, time series summary, fine. I understand what that would mean. Well, I mean, I don't want to look at them, but I understand the concept. Time series combine.
That's a little bit more juicy function.
Yeah,
So-
I've decided to punt on for 15.1 because there's lots. So it's a bit like column-wise combine, but doing it on the timestamps. And there's all sorts of nuances
Remind me what
to it.
column-wise combine does.
It's
Okay,
like
that
a
takes-
join.
It's
like
like
with
join across, which is generalized to end tabulars.
Okay. But so this is knitting the times together.
Yeah.
Right,
So that's-
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's tricky.
Right. And that's why there has to be different ones for time series and event series, because time series
Sure.
unions the times always, and event series keeps duplicates.
I understand. Makes sense. Those are good functions. They
Yeah.
sound
Well, there's
tricky.
also another version which is like tab join on tabular, which is like, so this is a horizontal stack.
Yeah.
There's also a possible vertical
I get
stack,
it.
which is why I think we need more time to get the design right. So that's why
But we
I'm
had no
proposing.
previous time series combined functionality.
No.
Is that correct?
There's a weird thing called time series thread that just isn't quite the right thing.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Are you trying to obsolete that function?
No, we're not going to
No,
obsolete it. We're just going to make it work something that works better with the new version
Okay,
of time
but
series.
I don't want to hear about. Look, we're not just going to push time series thread under the thread somehow under the rug. I was trying to make some pun
I
about
think the
threads
time
and
series
rugs.
thread is a bit more general because it allows the function, and the time series combine, event series combine is basically about the combining the objects. So it's more specialized
I
and
get
it
it.
gives more control.
All right, but when
But-
we review time series combine properly, please don't forget to remind me about time series thread.
I will remember to remind you, Stephen.
Okay. All right. So time series events. Where do we have examples of that? Okay, zero crossings. Yeah. not wild about this.
This is
I
still
mean,
a prototype, so yeah,
no, I mean, okay. So
but that's the idea.
to me,
That
what are the
vocabulary,
choices
yeah,
for
if you
time?
open it, you can see the kinds of events that are there. And there are events that you might not think about, but they're actually important. Like going from negative to positive is distinct from positive to negative. Sometimes you don't want to distinguish it, but
Yeah.
sometimes you do.
Okay. So this is very much like in the sort of image measurements family. I've just sort of named things you can do.
Yes, in that sense, yes.
Now, if I wanted to have a function that takes, do all these functions, no, look, well, yes, these functions just take 3 points at a time. Is that true? Not really, because global minima doesn't. What is global minima? How can there be more than one global minima?
If they're the same
Same what?
Same
value,
value principle, yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, what if I, oh, I see, crossing at that value.
so the basic is the 0, because you can always shift the values, but you can also cross a given value.
I wish there was a way to do this in a more sort of, you can add your own function type way. I mean, in a sense, this is, so let me just understand. In general, this is taking all the points just as values, independent of their timestamps.
No, I think
Yes, nothing here depends on the timestamps.
Oh, yes, it
Just
does,
the
Stephen,
location.
because the location
it's the interpolated.
depends
Absolutely,
on
the location
interpolation.
depends on that. No, but I understand. But here's the point. Well, some of these, the first one is between 2 points. The first block is between 2 points. The last block is on a point. Is that true, or do they interpolate to get the maximum?
I think this function is considering that the time series is a function. So it has to look at both the x-axis and the y-axis.
No, I understand, but that first, I was looking for, okay. But like peak fit, peak finding, you could imagine doing that here, but there's no way to do that rather than except by just sort of telling what you want by names. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's no flexible peak finding thing where you say I'll allow a peak that is less than 2 sigma, above whatever, all that kind of detail.
Well, the language in the second argument could be generalized to specify all those things.
I think if you want to find, I mean, so we're going to have fitting to which fit like particular peak profiles, like a Voigt profile, etc.
Yeah.
That's a whole different kind of story.
So the third argument that you're proposing here is just a selector that says, hash greater. So it's a selector that takes an individual value, or does it take an association? Is it given an association? That cond thing, is it given an association of it must be given an association of some kind. Have you worked out what cond is supposed to do?
No.
Okay. Seems not obvious. I mean, this is clearly a nice function. It's clearly very useful. And the things that you've got here, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it may be a functional form of this. I mean, I haven't really seen this design much, but would be something a little bit like one event.
Sorry, say it again.
Like
When
win
event, which you
then
use for
solve.
Yeah. Yes, it will be nice to merge one event with time series events, wouldn't it?
But then, when event needs to generalize quite a lot.
I know, but we got to understand how to move these things together.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's not going to be just one way to have a very poor function.
So it has a criterion here. All right, I mean, the functional version of how do you pick out an event? This cond I don't think makes a lot of sense as such. I think we need to think about, how do you pick these things out by writing a function? Because every one of these, you must have written a function internally to pick it out, right?
Mhm.
Okay, let's just look for a minute at event series accumulate. Not a good name. Hmm.
And at this point, the first two usages are supported, and I'm not gonna
Yeah,
I'm not
I
sure
know.
I'm gonna do the last two at this
Yeah, but I don't
version.
think this is necessarily the right thing. I mean, one thing you might want is some kind of kernel estimator thing where every event makes a Gaussian or something, and you're
Yeah, it's going to be a
different.
different function, Stephen. But I think this one is
Mhm.
very, very useful. So for instance, like in our random processes, we have a lot of underlying event processes, but we don't have a notion of event process. We only have random process. And that means that there's always a value. So for a Poisson process, what comes out is the count function. For a queue, it's the current queue state. The queue state can go up and down. Like if people leave the queue, it goes
Right.
down.
But I mean, in this case, there's a question of just counting events, and there's a question of the value of the event is what you're accumulating.
Yes.
Both are possible. So the very basic usage is just counting the events, and if you specify the component, then you can accumulate the values.
Okay, but
with
you
the
guys
with
have got to
events.
remember that time series with one component are really common.
Yes.
And I don't think the natural thing with a single argument, what the heck? I mean, I don't know.
But
Well,
also,
that case F, that third case covers that, Stephen, for both cases, actually.
I think that the second, but the way that you think about the first case is that you have arrivals, and then you may want to accumulate, your arrivals and how it shapes in time. So this is only for the kind of studying the temporal events,
Yeah,
and
I mean, I think one thing that confused me in the initial presentation of this is time series events and event series accumulate are not complementary functions. They're completely different functions.
correct.
Yes.
I was confused by that. Well, I agree that, I mean, for what this is doing, event series accumulate doesn't seem crazy.
But that other function, I think we need too. I think we have this function. So date histogram and smooth date histogram do that visually, but I think we need the sort of the function version of that
I
gets you.
agree. I
So
agree. Yeah, so it's a pity it can't be event series times, but it's not. I'm not sure. From event series, I don't like that very much.
but we just talked about two different ways of going from event series, which are radically different in their
Yes.
spec and
Let me just open these up, but we're not going to have a chance to look at this yet.
right.
We have another review right now.
Yes.
Okay, so you are updating the existing functions.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
And so the first there is to be able to have those hash component names like we do in transform columns.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, I understand the idea. I haven't thought it through.
Okay.
Okay, lots of work here.
So this is an important discussion, precisely related to what you were saying before, the fact that there are
Yeah.
time series with just one collection of values rather than components,
Yes.
and it requires a slightly different treatment. So here it's a longish discussion to make sure we cover all the details of
Yeah, I
those
know.
treatments.
This is going to be another 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, schedule it up. I mean, it looks
Yeah.
great. It's going to be really great to have these finally really working.
Yeah. And they're
Mhm.
very, so not only is it sort of a build up, but they're very unified. They work hand in hand, Tabular and time and event series.
Right. It was a good idea on our part to have separate time series and event series. Just saying. We were, dilly-dallying on that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think finally now we're getting the right semantic model for it, so we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think
we
those are
won't
the
have
two we
enough analytics for this release, unfortunately, but the next release will fill out the analytics and it will really come to life a little bit more.
Sounds good. All right, we should wrap this meeting, and I'll see some of you in the next design review in just about 2 minutes or something.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. See you.
See you.
See you.
Thanks
Thanks,
all.
bye.